Ready? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is... Oh, okay. That's her. So sorry. Are we live? All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Laziana Emakoa, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Center for Community Impact and Sustainability, and also a delegate at COP29 for the African Youth Partnership. And it's a pleasure and honor to welcome you all, to our press conference, which will be spotlighting the role of young people in COP29 and as well as in youth climate initiatives. And we would like to also thank the Faith Association for Rehabilitation Street Children for granting us this platform. So today we gather to spotlight the role of young people in driving climate action and shaping the priorities of this pivotal convening here in Baku, Azerbaijan. And across the globe, young people have been at the forefront of initiatives, projects, and bold advocacy, demonstrating their determination to address the pressing climate challenges of our time. Our focus today is to highlight these efforts and discuss how youth-led across and are influencing policies, advancing solutions, and ensuring accountability for the commitments made by the Paris Agreement and beyond. So I'm joined, with an incredible group of panelists, young dynamic leaders from the African continent who are deeply involved in climate initiatives, and we'll hear all about their projects, their challenges, and their hopes and the outcomes of COP29. So joining us here today, I have with us Mr. Noah Berger from Yonia, Ghana, Miss Esther from Nigeria, Mrs. Hadijatu Sese from Gambia, and Mr. Simon Patrick Obi from the Clean Light Initiatives in Nigeria. So I'm just going to go straight to the point. So we'll just begin by asking Simon, who's here next to me, to briefly introduce himself and tell us more about your work that you do, Simon, and what are some of the specific priorities or actions that you believe at COP29 we should focus on, and ensuring that there's meaningful outcomes for youth participation, especially for the communities in Nigeria.
Thank you, Lizzie. Hi, everyone. My name is Simon Patrick Obi. Like Lizzie has mentioned, I am the founder of Green Light Initiative, an organization having office in Nigeria and Ghana. And so what we do at Green Light basically is to promote safe and sustainable mobility, promotes public health and climate change. And so we work around these three areas, doing education, advocacy, and research. But beyond that, I'm also part of a global movement called the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety, where we also promote safe and sustainable mobility for young people. But it is important for us to know that road transport is the number one leading killer of young people, not in global south, not in global north, but globally, everywhere. And so it's taking the lives of our young people. And so what we do at the Global Youth Coalition is to raise awareness and advocate for meaningful participation of young people, but also actionable steps that are aims to prevent the loss of young people. We believe that promoting safe and sustainable mobility has enormous gain in terms of achieving the climate goals. We all know that transportation is the biggest source of CO2 emission, which depletes the ozone layer. And so our effort is to seek to promote safe, sustainable transportation that aims to decarbonize the road system, decongest the road system, reduce pollution, that as a result of road transport system. With that, we are not just achieving safety for everyone, but we are also achieving the goals of climate actions. We're achieving the goals of public health. And so my advocacy here at COP29 is to bring awareness to the need to also prioritize decarbonizing the transport system, advocating for meaningful actions, and bringing a holistic awareness, but also to also advocate that not just looking at climate change as a separate entity, but also looking at it in a holistic manner, looking at it from the point of public health, looking at it from the point of transportation. I believe when we look at it this way, we begin to gain the trust from everyone, and we're achieving that goal of climate action very quickly. Thank you, Essie.
Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you so much. To you, Esther, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about some of the climate projects that you're currently leading and involved with, as well as in Nigeria, and what inspired you to start this initiative, and what are some of the outcomes you're aiming to achieve? And also, while answering that question, feel free to tell us some of the activities, some of the targets, or the agenda that you're pushing here at COP29 here in Baku. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Esther Indera, the co-founder and CEO of Trek Scooters, Africa's pioneer e-mobility platform. It's a privilege to be here in COP29 in Baku, especially from the global south, Nigeria to be precise, as we address the most urgent crisis of our time, climate change. This year's conference has seen significant discussion around adaptation, just transition, loss and damage, and the pivotal role of technology in achieving climate resilience. Technology stands at the heart of scalable climate solutions, and it's crucial to leverage innovation to enhance global resilience. As the founder of Trek Scooters, I am proud to champion an innovative solution transforming urban mobility in Africa. By integrating electric mobility, Trek Scooters not only reduce emissions, but also provides affordable and accessible transportation for underserved communities. This model exemplifies how technology can bridge the gap between sustainability and inclusivity, particularly in regions with limited infrastructure. At COP29, I am advocating for increased investment in climate technology, transfer to the global south, ensuring that innovation becomes a shared global asset. Going to your question, I started Trek Scooters, which is Africa's leading e-mobility platform, because I realized that technology is very, very important in driving sustainable change. And prior now, Africa has always been at the back when it comes to technology innovation in the world. Technologies like e-scooters or electric mobility doesn't come to the continent until 20 years after it's been innovated in the Western world. So myself and 3 other amazing youth, African youth, came together to bring e-mobility to Africa, because we believe that that is an important way, to change the climate change story in Africa. And as we know, transportation is one of the major drivers of CO2 emission anywhere in the world. So if we're going to make changes, then transportation is one of the key industry to make that change in, and that's one of the reasons we started that. Truth be told, it's been a challenging journey, because it's a new concept that's not been seen before, and we have to rely on the infrastructure we didn't have, and we had to work with different key stakeholders to make sure we get things off the ground. But I can say proudly that since we launched Trek Scooters in Nigeria, in Africa, starting with Nigeria, we've had over 50,000 rides on our scooters, and we've been operational in different communities And we have MOUs with different communities totaling over 500,000 of population. And you can imagine what we can even do with more resources. One of the things I've been advocating for in COP29 is access to finance for technological projects in the global south, most especially Africa, making sure that these resources and these finances are accessible and they're not difficult, removing every limitation and barriers to climate financing. As we know, technology are not cheap, innovations are not cheap, research are not cheap. We need funding, we need investment to make transformational changes in this space. It's been an interesting journey working in this space, and I look forward to the greater goal we would achieve in Trek scooters and in African mobility generally. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther, for that elaboration of some of the projects, the innovations that you're carrying out, particularly on technology in Nigeria. Now, Noah, next.
Thank you.
Kindly introduce yourself and tell us about what UNIA is about.
Thank you very much.
And how you're leading on the youth climate space in Ghana, and as well as what are some of your expectations here at COP29? What are you pushing? What are your priorities? And I also know that you were, your organization was one of the conveners for ELCOI Ghana this year. So we want to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have the floor.
Thank you. So my name is Noah Bugri. I am the Programs Officer for United Youth Initiative for Africa. It's an NGO that exists in Ghana. We've been in existence since 2017. We've been in the climate space for a while now, done a lot of projects, so we are really centered on climate awareness. We focus on disaster risk management. We deal with gender. We deal with smart agriculture. We also have some innovative projects that we run in Ghana. So we have what we call the Green Youth Club in Ghana, where we're dealing with students across the nation. We are equipping them with knowledge, not just lifting up placards, and then saying that climate change is real, but then also equipping them with some form of innovative ideas. We're teaching them on upcycling. We are trying to equip them with knowledge with, let's say, GIS, other innovative things that they can become heroes in their small ways. We also deal with farmers. Many of them, you'll be surprised to know that some people think that maybe because they're experiencing drought, it's because the gods are against them, and sometimes it's not that, but then it's the knowledge on climate change. So we introduce them also to smart agriculture, climate resilient seeds, as well as all of those type of innovative ways that farmers can take advantage and adapt to what climate change is bringing up on them. One of our major innovations that we are looking at with youth currently is the waste gobbler. Now, the waste gobbler is a system where we use a decommissioned boat. It's mounted with solar panels, which actually generates the electricity to move the motor, and then we are able to collect waste on the water body. And now all this waste we are collecting, we are conducting waste audits to know which type of companies that are actually responsible for the waste we are finding in this water body. You will be surprised to know that the lagoon actually connects directly to the sea, which means it's contributing to, microplastic issues. We are actually directly polluting the water or the sea at large. So this also has to do with ocean cleanup when it comes to this as well. Now, with United Youth Initiative for Africa, we had the opportunity to host the ELCOI Ghana 2024. And it was amazing, to see physically. We gathered over 500 youth seated at one particular meeting where people had to share their experiences, whatever they were going through, how they were facing climate change from different angles. We had the opportunity to also organize what we call the regional consultations. So, Ghana is divided into regions, 16 regions. Across all the 16 regions, we were able to consult youth across all these various regions. They had their input, their outcomes. We were able to bring it up. And then we have the National Youth Statement, which actually will be presenting on Monday at the Ghana Pavilion. We have a copy of the statement. You can pass through the Ghana Pavilion at 1 p.m. on Monday, and you will have a copy to look through. Now, one of the interesting things that we noticed from that was on migration, climate migration. It's one of the major things that is affecting a lot of people, and many of the youth, we realized, had to migrate from where they were to the urban cities just to have access to new opportunities. And so that's one of the things we are advocating for, that there should be finance, that addresses climate migration and then input when it comes to green jobs that people can take advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Noah. Thank you. Now, Hadijatu Sese from Gambia, who is also the ELCOI convener for Gambia 2024. Tell us about yourself, about your organization, and some of the amazing work that you're doing on ground, and what are some, and I know Gambia also released a National Youth Statement, which was embedded in the Global Youth Statement. So I'm sure you have some robust youth demands that you're pushing here at COP29. So you have the floor. Tell us more about your work.
Thank you, and good afternoon to you all. I am Hadijatu Sise, like she likely mentioned. I'm the lead coordinator of ELCOI the Gambia 2024. Basically, our ELCOI was hosted in the Gambia in September 2024. The activity was basically on 2 days. So the priority of our ELCOI was not only limited to a conference, where we are not focusing only on to limit our children and youth from only having a conference, but also an action orientation limited when it comes to the issues of climate change in the Gambia. So looking at the Gambia, we have 7 regions across the Gambia. So we are trying to involve the marginalized groups, persons living with disability, and also the vulnerable communities. So the perspective of the Gambia is this is the third time I will say that we have hosted the ELCOI, but so far this is one of the largest youth climate gathering when it comes to collaboration and bringing youth perspectives in the policy demands and policy making implementation processes. So with this National Youth Statement that I mentioned, our ELCOI was able to gather different delegates across all the regions. So looking at that regional dialogue, we also have, looking at the later part of the region dialogue, where we have the people from the vulnerable communities hardly get their voices into this National Youth Statement or into policy demands, where government hardly even respect or even have the idea to actually involve the community involvement or perspective regarding the national youth demands. So within the ELCOI, the Gambia, the first day, we had the initiative from partnership with the Ministry of Environment to also work on the overview on the climate policies, programs, and workshops in line with the agenda of youth as well. So in day 2 of our activity was the orientation and the practical aspect of our ELCOI, where delegates has the opportunity to actually gather their perspectives, also do a field trip exercise, planting of mangroves, as this is the first time many of them even seen a proper goal. So some actually mentioned that they've just understood that mangrove serves as carbon sink when it comes to the issues of climate change, but most of them have not even been able to implement or do the practical version of planting mangroves. So the other aspect of our event was the simulation, climate negotiation simulation. We've understand that in the Gambia, young people are actually doing an amazing job when it comes to the issues of climate change in the Gambia, but their perspective has not been heard. Looking at it right now in the COP, you will see that we have a lot of Gambian delegates at this space, but the number of people, young people in this space is really limited. So these are the outcomes from our youth statement, and even in Gambia, during the time that we had our national conference, we had the opportunity to invite our national lead negotiator, Mr. Uncle Bubu. So he was able to be on ground to actually give reflections regarding the complexity of the negotiation processes to the delegates delegates, as well as the delegates were also given the opportunity to not only be present in the conference, but also do an exercise on the simulation, climate negotiation simulation processes. In this way, they were able to understand most of their work that they are supposed to do on the ground. So in our demand national youth statement, we actually already presented it to the Ministry of Environment as the national focal point and the government policy making implementer. We also presented this to our National Youth Council. This is the umbrella body when it comes to the issues of youth, when it comes to the Gambia. And fortunately for us, when our youth statement was presented to the government, the ministry, the vice president was even yet to submit their policy document for COP. So we're still following up with ensuring that our youth demands are actually reflected and highlighted when it comes to the issues of climate change in COP29 as well. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hadijatu. And as actually someone who's also a co-organizer in Sierra Leone for this year, I'm actually very impressed, by some of your outcomes and how, you work so hard in ensuring that, there's a meaningful participation of young people at the sub-regional level and the national level. So today, we talked about advocacy. We covered, the role of young people in decision making. So I'd just like to use this opportunity to give all of you 1 minute each to give a call to action. We're here at COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. We have our world leaders that are here, different parties that are here negotiating for climate finance, accessible climate finance. And now from a youth perspective, in 1 minute, tell us your call to action to some of the key stakeholders that are here at COP. And so I'll start with Simon here. So.
Yes, my call to action is, not fighting climate change in silo, but making it an holistic, in terms of our framing, making it an holistic, approaching it in an holistic manner, coming from a public health perspective, coming from transportation, coming from agriculture, every perspective. That way we're able to gain the trust, the involvement of everyone, and it is easier for us to achieving those goals of climate action. But I am also calling for meaningful youth participation in climate action, because these are the people who will face the reality of climate change. And it is unfair to begin to deal with the issue of climate change without involving those who will be, badly hit. So that is my call to action to all stakeholders involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Esther?
Thank you. My call to action is safeguard negotiation from corporate influencers, increase grant-based funding with measurable implementation goals, ensure international cooperation and actionable solutions beyond dialogues, amplify the voices of marginalized groups, including youth, and measure progress through aggregated data. Lastly, address non-economic loss and damage by building resilient healthcare system, taking into consideration mental health support for the marginalized groups. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther.
All right, thank
Noah.
you. So my call to action, basically, it's this year we are looking at finance, and finances should be accessible to youth. Many of the youth are migrating from where they are to places where they think they can find green opportunities. But if climate finance looks at these marginalized groups and we make funding available for them, wherever they are, they can contribute to whatever solution that has to be. We are losing indigenous communities because they are all moving away from where they are supposed to be into the urban cities. Let's protect them by making funds available, and let's make sure climate migration does not kill our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. I need that too.
My call to action is actually going to be so far so good. We have seen that we've almost running up to the week 1 of the COP. and like so far we haven't seen a better outcome with all the negotiation groups. So what I will urge all parties or all government is to make sure that we push forward in the next round of a week to go to work towards COP, to ensure that we actually have a transparent, meaningful NCQG goal that needs to be done in Baku before we leave as delegates from different perspectives. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. So my key takeaways are, ensuring that, there's increased grant funding, and this funding is accessible, especially to our vulnerable communities, particularly to young people, and ensuring that, there's transparency and monitoring and a mechanism, to able to ensure that, parties are accountable to some of these commitments, financial commitments that are being made. Once again, I would like to thank you all for being here today. I would like to thank Faith Association of Rehabilitation of Street Children for granting us this platform, and thank you to all the panelists for your meaningful, your amazing contributions. And once again, I'm Liziana Emakoa, founder for the Center for Community Impact and Sustainability in Sierra Leone, and it was a pleasure to be your moderator for today's session. Thank you.